One above all. The one above all is the supreme ruler of the multiverse and the ultimate source of love and good. He appears to rarely intervene in multiversal matters, as he remained hidden even when the Prime Universe was destroyed, agreeing with Thanos and an alternate Adam Warlock to recreate it with Adam becoming the new living tribunal, showing that such matters are in the care of his servant. They only willingly appeared to Peter Parker, when his aunt was on the very verge of death, teaching Peter to accept death as a natural part of life. Despite its love and compassion, he is capable of destroying the life he has created, manifesting as the demonic entity the one below all, to serve as a counterforce to the expanding life in the multiverse that the one above all creates, so he can create a new origin. Apparently responsible for the existence of all life in the multiverse and possibly beyond, the one above all is the master and sole superior of the cosmic overseer and arbitrator known as the living tribunal, whose faces, embodying equity, vengeance, and necessity respectively, are in perfect alignment with one another as it passes judgment. In order to create life anew through the cycle of death and rebirth of the multiverse, they can manifest as the dark entity, the one below all, who serves as the counterweight to the expanding life in the multiverse. Modern age. When the pregnant Susan Storm feared for her husband's possible death at the hands of the all-powerful Silver Surfer, Yuta the Watcher explained to her that there is only one being that is truly all-powerful, and that his only weapon is love. During an encounter with the Sorcerer Supreme Dr. Strange, the cosmic entity Eternity told Strange, "I and my brother, Death, comprise all of your reality, mystic. Neither he nor I are God, for God rules all realities." When Thor once compared himself and Odin to various other gods and abstract beings in terms of power, he noted, "And 'tis said that a being, called the living tribunal, the final judge, hath the power to enforce his will upon any cosmos he doth judge. And 'tis said his power is supreme in all the multiverse. Even I, son of one of the mightiest of all gods, find it impossible to conceive of such levels of power. And 'tis a humbling thought to consider how much greater the creator of all universes must be than that of all of his creations combined. The living tribunal is said to be the representative of one whose might exceeds even eternity, and the omniscient infinity well within death's realm described the tribunal as the representative of the one who is above all. The tribunal later stated, "It was eternity who first brought this matter to my attention and whom I ruled in favor of. Laws set forth from above declare that only he may now reverse that decision." Master Order, whilst observing Adam Warlock alongside Lord Chaos, said, "And may the Supreme will smile on the Golden Warrior." Warlock later recounts how he was called to judgment by the living tribunal, who he describes as the servant of the one who is above even gods. The Cosmic Cubic, on a tour of reality displaying various higher powers to Cosmos, upon meeting the tribunal, told her that while it is the most supreme power which can be comprehended, logic would indicate that the tribunal itself is but another servant, but of what none dare imagine. In the aftermath of the events of Infinity Gauntlet, the living tribunal easily undid all the destruction an enraged Adam Warlock wreaked in his trial, claiming that, "I represent forces that dwarf even your might. My authority comes from on high." When the protégé claimed to the living tribunal and other cosmic entities that he was the most powerful being that ever was, and that he would surpass them all and move up, the tribunal countered, "Impossible. There is only one above the living tribunal." Later, after the protégé declared himself the one above all in an attempt to seize ultimate power, the tribunal absorbed the protégé into itself, proclaiming, "Your actions and intentions are inexcusable. Make your peace. May the one above all forgive you." During her crusade, the goddess, seeking to purge creation of all evil and believing herself serving the will of the Supreme One, gathered dozens of Earth's most devout heroes to her base in Paradise Omega. When the Silver Surfer argued that the collected Infinity Gems would make a far more potent force than the cosmic containment units, the goddess replied, "True, but the Supreme One's servant, the living tribunal, has ruled that the Infinity Gems may never again be used in unison." After the Surfer then raised the question of possible interference from cosmic entities such as the Tribunal or Eternity against their activities, the goddess argued, "We serve the supreme will. We do nothing that either Eternity or Infinity would object to. They are already aware of our movement." When later confronted by a skeptical Reed Richards, the goddess told him, "I do not claim omnipotence. I, too, am a servant." The one above all seemingly appeared to the Fantastic Four in heaven, at the time of the Thing's death, praising them for their persistence in exploring the universe and promising extraordinary new wonders to be discovered in the years ahead, and eventually restored the Thing back to life. A grieving Peter Parker was encouraged by the One Above All, disguised as an elderly homeless man, to keep faith, when his Aunt May lay close to death. Thanos and an alternative version of Adam Warlock gained a brief audience with the entity after their reality had been destroyed. It was here revealed that the One Above All, also called the Above All Others, exists beyond time and space, and alternates between appearing as female and male. Thanos managed to convince the entity to restore reality, in exchange for Adam taking up the vacant position, and duties, of the deceased living tribunal. When the Hulk asked to the One Below All why it is the way it is, the One Below All manifested its true face, the One Above All, and answered that the One Below All serves as the counterweight to the One Above All's creations, so they can build anew, and that, while the Hulk and the Gamma Mutate seem to serve such purpose, they choose which role they play, only using half their power, which is to destroy. Their choices ultimately leading to this exact moment so the One Above All could ask the Hulk if he would be Gabura or Galachab before leaving. Hulk understood what they meant, leading him to forgive the leader despite everything he had done. Personality. The One Above All is the ultimate source of life and creation and the architect/creator of the multiverse and everything that exists. The One Above All has stated that its only weapon is love, which was further stated by the Watcher. The One Above All is the source of all that is good and is a being of limitless compassion and light. While very rarely seen as the mystery intrigues the One Above All and it prefers to watch and experience its creation through many eyes, it has sometimes interacted directly with mortals through different guises. It helped and offered Beta Ray Bill hope when all seemed lost. It even met with and helped Spider-Man when he believed his Aunt May would die and not only restored Peter's faith in humanity but was one of the few times it fully revealed what it was to a mortal being. While the One Above All rarely interferes with mortals as it wants them to make their own destinies, it had subtly helped them in times of need and presented opportunity for them to help themselves and others during dark times. It loves and cares for all of its creations, and while it may be disappointed and feel pity towards those who follow a dark path, it will always present a way for anyone to move out of the darkness. However, the One Above All can also manifest itself through its dark counterpart, the One Below All, to destroy the life it creates in order to begin anew, believing that it would renew itself through the endless cycle of death and rebirth in the multiverse. Powers. As the supreme being within the multiverse, the One Above All is omnipotent and presents himself as all-powerful. He is also omnipresent, as all things are mere extensions of himself, and omniscient, as he knows everything, and is above all cosmic powers and abstract entities, even the living tribunal. The One Above All has also been portrayed as a manifestation of the writer himself, in this case, as Jack Kirby, and as the resident of the House of Ideas where all stories are formed. Abilities. Beyond any known system of abilities. Weaknesses. Multiversal imbalance, when Thanos, controlled by his omnipotent future self, got hold of his universe's regulator, an artifact more powerful than the Infinity Gems which serve to keep each universe separate from one another. This caused a grave imbalance to the multiverse, something that the Above All Others was unable to fix. This allowed the all-powerful Thanos from the year 4657 AD to absorb the Above All Others. Duality. The One Above All is the light aspect and the embodiment of love, creation and life. Its fundamental nature is to be the ultimate good. Therefore, it cannot harm or destroy things directly. The One Above All needs to use its other aspect or face, the One Below All, in order to destroy or break things down in order to build. The One Above All like the One Below All are two halves of the same whole, akin to Bruce Banner and his many Hulks, and while both have unlimited power can only perform acts within their nature. Equipment. Protolith. Transportation. Omnipresent.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.